This video is on the Apocrypha and why it's not canonical. I wouldn't be able to go into all the requirements and principles of canonicity and the Apocrypha in this one video, but I can give some definitions of what canonicity is. A rod, ruler, staff, or measuring rod. Standard, rule of faith, or authoritative scripture. The Apocrypha are books that were written after the Old Testament canon was complete, about 425 BC. The Apocrypha means hidden or secret. Due to their doubtful authenticity, the word has come to mean spurious, fraudulent, or forged by some scholars. The Apocrypha is composed of 14 books, which are found in the Septuagint and the Vulgate, but never in the Hebrew canon. The Septuagint is a Greek version of the Hebrew scriptures that dates from the 3rd century BC, containing both the translation of the Hebrew and additional variant material, regarded as the standard form of the Old Testament in the early Christian church and still canonical in the Eastern Orthodox Church. The Vulgate is an early 5th century version of the Bible in Latin and largely the result of the labors of Jerome, who was commissioned by Pope Damascus I in 382 AD to make a revision of old Latin translations. It became the definitive and officially promulgated Latin version of the Bible of the Roman Catholic Church. In the 13th century, it came to be called Versio Vulgata, which means common translation. Some reasons why Christian authorities reject the writings of the Apocrypha as being the actual inspired words of God are: the Apocrypha was never in the Hebrew canon. Jesus Christ, nor any of the New Testament writers ever quoted from the Apocrypha. Josephus, a well-known historian from the biblical era, excluded them from the list of sacred scripture. He felt they were lacking authenticity or validity and essence or origin. During the first 4 centuries, there was no mention made of the Apocrypha in any catalog or canonical book. They were believed to be slipped in during the 5th century. The books of the Apocrypha were never asserted to be divinely inspired, to possess divine authority in their contents. No prophets were connected with these writings. Each book of the Old Testament was written by a prophet. These books are replete with historical, geographical, and chronological errors. In order to accept the Apocrypha, one would have to reject the Old Testament narratives. The apocryphal doctrines and practices are contrary to the canon of Scripture. Some examples are prayers and offerings for the dead. 2 Maccabees 2:41 through 46. Prayers are to be offered for the dead, and monetary offerings are to be brought on their behalf. This is in disagreement with John 3:18 and 36. According to the canon of Scripture, biblically, your destination is determined before you die. Another apocryphal doctrine that's against the canon of Scripture is atonement and salvation through almsgiving. Tobit 4:11. For alms deliver from all sin and from death, and will not suffer the soul to go into darkness. So this apocryphal doctrine is teaching that you can buy salvation monetarily. Another apocryphal doctrine that's against the canon of Scripture is cruelty to slaves justified. Ecclesiasticus 3:25 through 29. The best way to treat a slave is to pile work on him. This is opposed to everything in treatments of workers in the canon of Scripture. So here we see that the Apocrypha was added in after the canon of the Old Testament Scripture was already complete. Nobody in the New Testament of authority refers to the Apocrypha, and the apocryphal doctrines are against the canon of Scripture.